So, let's be honest for a second. Would you pay $400 to sit in a theater and watch a hologram? Not a live performer, not a tribute band, not even an impersonator in a glittery jumpsuit, but a computer-generated version of someone who's been gone for decades. That's exactly what's happening right now with Elvis Presley. There's a new hologram concert featuring the king of rock and roll, and tickets are going for a jaw-dropping $400 each. And you know what? Fans aren't thrilled. In fact, a lot of them are calling it limp, lifeless, even pathetic. Ouch. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked forward to something for weeks or even months, built it up in your head, thought it was going to be amazing, and then when it finally happened, you just sat there thinking, wait, is this it? That sinking feeling, that little bit of disappointment, it's kind of what people are describing here. On paper, the Elvis hologram show sounds magical. Bringing back a legend, giving people who never got the chance to see him live the opportunity to experience his music in a whole new way. But in reality? It feels a little strange. It feels off. Picture it. You walk into this big, flashy venue. The lights are dim, the stage is set, and you're sitting there with your overpriced soda and popcorn, ready to see Elvis himself. The crowd is buzzing. You've spent hundreds of dollars just to be there. And then, out walks a hologram. A projection. It's not Elvis, not really. It's just light bouncing off a screen. You can hear his voice, you can see the moves, but there's no real person there. No energy, no spark, no moment of surprise. And that's where the magic disappears. The company behind the show is selling it as a once-in-a-lifetime chance to see Elvis perform again. And sure, I get the idea. Elvis is one of the greatest performers of all time. Millions of people around the world still love him. His music, his charisma, that electric presence he had, it's timeless. But the problem is, you can't digitally recreate charisma. You can't project soul. Elvis wasn't just about the songs or the costumes or the moves. He was about how he made you feel in the moment. And no matter how advanced technology gets, that's something a hologram will never be able to capture. Now, let's talk about that ticket price for a second. $400. That's not pocket change. That's a lot of money. For that price, you could fly to Memphis, grab a hotel for the night, tour Graceland, and still have cash left over for some barbecue. And honestly, that would feel way more like honoring Elvis's memory than sitting in a theater watching a projection. You'd be walking where. So, why is this show struggling? Why are fans calling it limp and lifeless instead of groundbreaking? Part of it has to do with expectations. People hear Elvis concert and they imagine goosebumps, excitement, maybe even tears. They imagine being transported back in time to the 1970s, when Elvis was at his peak. But instead, they get a flat projection that feels more like a theme park attraction than a true performance. And when you've spent $400, that letdown hits even harder. This isn't the first time we've seen something like this. Remember Tupac's hologram at Coachella? Back then, it was shocking, even mind-blowing. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. It went viral. And then there was Whitney Houston's hologram tour. ABBA even jumped on the trend with their virtual shows. But here's the key difference. ABBA's show worked because it wasn't pretending to be a real concert. It was fun, immersive, and most importantly, affordable. It felt like a tribute, not a cash grab. People went in knowing exactly what to expect, and they got a great experience. With Elvis, it feels different. It feels like the company behind it is testing the waters, trying to see how far fans will go. Can they really sell nostalgia at such a high price? Can they turn a beloved artist into a digital product and still call it entertainment? That's the question here. And based on the reactions, the answer might just be no. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Elvis, the real Elvis, was all about connection. He was famous for the way he made his audience feel like they were part of the show. He had this incredible energy, this charm, this ability to make you believe every word he sang. That can't be programmed into a computer. You can copy the look, you can copy the moves, but you can't copy the soul. And when you strip that away, what's left? A light show. A very expensive light show. If you really want to experience Elvis, there are so many better, more meaningful ways. Watch his live performances. Listen to his records the way they were meant to be heard. Visit Memphis and stand in Graceland, where his spirit still lingers. Talk to people who grew up listening to him. Those things will give you a connection that a hologram never can. But let me pause here and ask you, would you do it? Would you pay $400 to... For me, I think it comes down to value. What are you actually getting for your money? With a live concert, you're getting the energy, the atmosphere, the chance that something unexpected might happen. You're part of a moment that can never be repeated. With a hologram? You're watching something programmed, rehearsed, and repeated night after night. There's no risk, no surprise, no spark. And without that, it doesn't feel like a concert. It feels like an experiment. And that's really what this is, an experiment. A test to see if fans will pay big money for nostalgia packaged as technology. But maybe the people behind this show underestimated something. They underestimated just how smart fans are. They underestimated how much people value authenticity. They underestimated Elvis himself. Because Elvis wasn't just a singer. He was an icon, a force of nature, someone whose presence could light up a room. Trying to recreate that with pixels and lights? It was always going to fall short. So maybe the lesson here is simple. Technology can do a lot of things. It can amaze us, entertain us, even surprise us. But it can't replace the real thing. It can't replace a living, breathing human being pouring their heart out on stage. And maybe it shouldn't even try. But hey, that's just my take. What about you? Would you pay that much to see a hologram concert? Do you think this is the future of live shows, or do you see it as a sad attempt to cash in on an icon's legacy? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I really want to hear what you think. And if you're curious about other artists who've been brought back through holograms and how those shows turned out, I've got another video you'll want to check out. I'll link it for you, it's just as wild and maybe even more surprising. Before you head out, if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with a friend who loves Elvis. Who knows, it might start a fun debate. And as Elvis himself would say, thank you very much.